Okay, to put some studs in, you need to back two nuts up against each other like that. You know, not ridiculously tight, just enough so the other one won't back down the stud. And I'm going to use copper anti-seize on all the studs just to make sure they don't seize up, because I will be pulling this motor probably in a year or so. So let's get to it. Now I just tighten the studs until the two nuts start working their way down the stud, and that should be good. We're going to take 2 wrenches and get the nuts off these studs. I had put these studs in prior and forgot the anti-seize, so that's why we're pulling them back out and getting the anti-seize on there. I don't want them to be hard to get off next time. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide the washer on the studs and put the nuts on the ends just for now. I'm going to paint the exhaust manifold, so we got to sand that down and paint that first before we can install it. Now this stud right here in the center, if you can see, that one leads to an oil passage, so you don't put anti-seize, you put some kind of sealer, and I use black RTV silicone. Alright, now we're going to get you set up so we can sand the exhaust manifold. Okay, so now we're going to do some wire brushing on the exhaust manifold to get it ready for paint. What we're going to do is just go over it with a drill with a wire brush wheel on it, and also for the small places we're going to use this toothbrush style one. So yeah, I have already sanded and got this cleaned up, so I taped it up. Still going to do these ends a little bit, the head side a little bit better. So yeah, we're going to start wire brushing this, and then we got to clean it with some type of acid, so let's get to it. Okay, I'm about to install the header, so I always put around the port hose a little bit of a gasket maker, just black silicone gasket maker, to hold the gasket to the head where it needs to be, so there isn't no gasket blocking any of the ports. So I'm going to stick that on, and I'll put you on a tripod while I install that. I was going to paint it, but it's actually an awesome, shape, and it hasn't rusted so far, so it should be good for a while. I don't plan on running this, but maybe 2 or 3 oil changes, and I should, get the other one ready to do the swap. So I'm gonna get y'all on a tripod, stick that gasket on the block, and then we'll be ready to torque it down to spec. And my torque wrench reads in Newton meters, not inch pounds. So from what I've read, what it translates to is 29 Newton meters to torque these nuts for the studs on the exhaust manifold studs. And I did not get that other stud out. It's just way too much to move, and from what I've read, a lot of people don't have any problem with one broke stud, so keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully I don't, because that is a hell of a lot of stuff to remove to get to that one stud. And like I said, I'm probably going to be pushing, it's going to be under 15 pounds of boost, so we should be okay. I'll just keep a good check. I'll re-torque them every 1,000 miles for the first 5,000 miles, to make sure they're not loosening up any, and that should keep me from leaking in the exhaust. So I'm gonna get you on the tripod and we'll get this thing installed. Okay, we just got the exhaust manifold on, so now we're going to mount the turbo to it, and hopefully I don't see why our oil lines wouldn't line up now that we got the correct correct exhaust manifold on. So I'm going to grab that and we'll get the gasket out for it, get everything lined up, and we should be good to go. Okay, now we're going to hold the turbo up and get it mounted up. So here we go. Now I am missing one exhaust turbo to manifold. That's a stud, and it was seized in there when I originally took it apart. So I have got to go down Napa and get one, but everything should pretty much line up now.